It was a cold winter night, and I was driving my truck down a deserted highway. The radio crackled with an old blues tune, and the headlights cut through the darkness like blades. The road seemed endless, surrounded by trees that swayed like ghostly figures under the pale moonlight. I was tired, but I had to deliver the load before dawn. Shortly after passing an abandoned gas station, I saw a figure on the side of the road, desperately waving. It was a young woman, wearing a coat far too thin for the cold that night. I hesitated for a moment. I'd always been cautious about picking up strangers, but she looked so vulnerable that my conscience got the better of me. I slowed down and stopped. She quickly climbed into the cab, shivering and thanking me over and over. Thank you so much. My car broke down a little ways back and no one's passed by for hours. She was young, maybe in her early 20s, with dark hair and large eyes that seemed to reflect the moonlight. Something about her unsettled me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Where are you headed? I asked, keeping my eyes on the road. To the little town past the bridge. Just there, if it's not too much trouble. I nodded. No problem. This road's too dangerous to be out here alone. She smiled, but her smile felt off. Hollow. A strange silence fell between us, broken only by the rumble of the engine. I tried to make conversation, asking where she was from and what she did, but her answers were vague, as if she were deliberately avoiding details. After a few minutes, I caught a strange scent, something that smelled like wilted flowers mixed with damp earth. I glanced at her discreetly, but she seemed oblivious, staring out the window as though hypnotized by the darkness outside. That's when I noticed something in the rearview mirror. For a split second, I thought I saw another figure sitting in the back seat of the cab, but when I turned to look, there was nothing there. My heart raced, but I told myself it was just my exhaustion playing tricks on me. Are you okay? She asked, her voice oddly close, even though she was on the other side of the cab. Yeah, just tired. Long trip. She nodded, still gazing out the window. The road seemed darker now, and a thick fog began to form. Something was wrong. The radio started to crackle, and suddenly, a song I didn't recognize began to play. It was an old haunting melody, like it was coming from a gramophone. Do you like this song? She asked, still not looking at me. I don't know what this is. The radio must be acting up. My dad used to play this. He loved this song. There was something in her voice that sent a chill down my spine, a distant tone, almost ghostly. The fog grew thicker, and my visibility was almost gone. I slowed down, focusing on the road, but the feeling that something was terribly wrong kept growing. Have you ever heard the stories about this road? She asked, breaking the silence. Stories? Yeah, they say it's cursed. Lots of people disappear out here. I let out a nervous laugh. I don't believe in that stuff. You should. She finally turned to look at me, and her eyes seemed different, darker, deeper, like two endless voids. My stomach churned and my hands started to sweat on the wheel. Can you drop me off at the bridge? She suddenly said. I looked ahead and saw the bridge emerging through the fog. It was an old structure with rusted chains and creaking planks beneath the weight of the truck. Something about the place sent a shiver down my spine, but I wasn't about to argue. When I stopped, she opened the door and stepped out with an almost unnatural movement, as if she didn't quite touch the ground. Thanks for the ride, she said, looking at me with that hollow smile. But you should leave, before it's too late. Before I could respond, she disappeared into the fog. I sat there, confused and uneasy, until something caught my attention. On the seat where she'd been sitting there was a dark stain, as if the fabric was wet. It smelled like earth and dead flowers. My heart raced, and I decided to get out of there as fast as I could. As I crossed the bridge, the radio crackled again, but this time I heard voices. It wasn't music, but whispers, like dozens of people were speaking all at once. You shouldn't have picked her up. My blood ran cold. I glanced in the rearview mirror and, for a brief moment, saw the young woman sitting in the back seat, staring at me with a chilling smile. Her eyes were black as night. I slammed my foot on the gas, the truck roaring as I sped across the bridge. When I finally reached the other side, I looked in the mirror again. She was gone. But the stain on the seat remained, and the smell was even stronger. I drove nonstop until sunrise, unable to shake the image of her eyes and that smile. When I finally reached the small town, I stopped at a diner to try and calm myself. I told the story to the man behind the counter, an older guy who gave me a strange look. "You said you gave a ride to a girl near the bridge?" he asked in a hushed tone. I nodded, feeling a chill run down my spine. "She died there 10 years ago. Her car went off the bridge on a winter night. They say she still asks for rides, and those who stop are never the same." I didn't respond. I just walked out of the diner, my heart heavy. Since that night, I avoid driving on deserted roads, because sometimes what you find out there doesn't belong to this world.